The gopis are worshipping Gopishwar Mahadev. The gopis are worshipping Surya Dev. The gopis are worshipping Goddess Katyayani. But what mood are they worshipping them? They're not worshipping them as Bhagavan. Rather, they're worshipping those personalities to please help us in our service to Krishna. There's some sweetness there. They're appreciating them as... can you help me to close this thing? Just push it down. It's a long message. They're worshiping in a sweet kind of way. That, oh, our Krishna needs some help. Or we need some help to get Krishna. And therefore we're worshiping these different devatas. So Devaki, she began to pray to the devas, and she made a pact. She made a promise. She said, if you give me just one son, I haven't had any son. If you give me just one son, then I promise that I'll do yajna for the pleasure of the devatas. So then Krishna appeared, Vasudeva Krishna, was carried from the prison to Gokul by Vasudeva, and he became known as Nandanandan Krishna, Yashodanandan Krishna, for 16 years. And then later Krishna was brought to Mathura, and he came to Dwarka, and he fought with Shishupal and Dantavakra and so many different demons. And there in Dwarka, one day, I should say in the heavenly planets, one day in Amaravati, Indra was looking rather depressed. And Narad Muni showed up at that place and said, hey Indra, what's wrong? And Indra told him that I'm such a badmas, I'm such a rascal, such a fool. Krishna performed his Bala Leela in Braj, but I couldn't appreciate it. And instead I committed a terrible offense, the big offense. Worse than dropping an atom bomb on Vrindavan. That Samvardhaka cloud is much, much more powerful than the atom bomb. It was a really big mistake. And then Narad Muni, he said, well, Indra, would you like to see Krishna's Bala Leela? And Indra said, well, yes, I would. So anyway, we'll work something out. He left. Narad Muni is a very tricky person. So he went to Dwarka, and he came before Devaki. And when Devaki saw the great Rishi, the great saint Narad Muni, she offered prayers to him. We're so fortunate that you came here. How can we serve you? What can we do for you? Why did you come? And Narad Muni, then he said, Devaki, I'm a little disappointed with you. And Devaki said, why? What? And Narad Muni said, I thought that you were a very high-class Kshatriya lady. But now I see your character is not good. That's like sticking a knife in the heart of David. He said, well, what do you mean my character is not good? Yes, you made a promise and you didn't keep it. And David, he said, well, what promise did I make? And Narad Muni said, I know. In the prison of Kamsa, you made a promise to the Devatas that if they gave you one child, then you would perform a yajna for their pleasure. And you got one child, and not just any child, you got Krishna. But you haven't done a yajna. Very, very bad. So Devaki said, well, what should we do? I'm just a lady, I don't know about all this yajna business and things. And Narad Muni said, you should go to the place known as Kabas and do a yajna and invite the Sapta Rishis to chant mantras and get Krishna to pour the ghee in the fire while they're chanting mantras. And you should invite everyone in the world to come. You invite everybody and you give everyone sumptuous prasad. At that time, Padmavati was there. Now, Padmavati, she's a little crazy lady. She's a so-called, she's a mother of Kamsa. And that's a long story. Kamsa is not actually the son of Ugrasena, according to Padma Purana. That we won't go there today, it's another story. But Padmavati, she's a little crazy woman. And she said, Narad Muni, can you help us? We're just ladies, we don't know how to invite everybody. We can't go running around in public inviting everybody. Could you please do that for us? And Narad Muni said, Tatastha, I can do that, no problem. And so then Padmavati said, you go everywhere in the world, invite everyone to come, tell them we're doing a big yajna, they're all invited to come and take part, and take prasada. He said, but one thing, don't go to Vrindavan. Don't invite the Brijvasis. And Narad Muni said, why? And Padmavati said, because they say that Krishna is the son of Yashoda, and it's not true. And moreover, they abuse Krishna. Narad Muni said, they abused him? Yes. They made him do hard work. They sent him out every day to herd the cows, and they wouldn't even give him shoes to wear. And the ground, there were so many stones and thorns, and the hot sun was beating down on his head, and they didn't give him an umbrella, a chhatri. Very bad. Once Mother Yashoda, she insisted that Gopal should wear shoes when he went out. And Gopal, he said, Ma, we have over 4 billion cows, or sometimes they say quadrillions of cows, that we're taking care of. How can I have something the cows don't have? If you want me to wear shoes, then you should make shoes for every cow in Vrindavan. And if they all have shoes, then I'll also wear shoes. But how can I have shoes if they don't have shoes? Krishna loves Vrindavan so much. Lord Narayana, it said, doesn't touch the ground in Vaikuntha. And when he appears in this world, he's floating off the ground. But Krishna is so very, very dear to him. Vrindavan is so dear to Krishna that he made a trick with Trinavarta. He got Trinavarta to take him up in the air so he could go for a ride. Just like every little child likes to go on a roller coaster or a merry-go-round. Krishna made some arrangements so that he could go way up in the air and see everything. And so that he could see Brajbhumi. Because Krishna loves Vrindavan so much. So Padmavati's a little crazy. She's saying that they didn't even take care of him properly. They made him work hard. And not only that, they made him work so hard that then when he was hungry, they didn't even feed him properly. And he had to go and steal mutton. It's so bad. She's a little crazy woman. So you don't go to Vrindavan. Don't go to Braj. Narad Muni said, okay, I got it. And Narad Muni, he left that place. He had written down all of his notes, who to invite, what to say, and everything. And he left, and what was the first place that he went to? was Vrindavan. Because Narad Muni is a big troublemaker. He went to Vrindavan, and when Nanda Maharaj and Mother Yashoda saw Narad Muni, they became very excited. They said, hey, Narad, have you seen our Gopal? What's he doing? What's happening? And Narad Muni looked a little confused. He said, you didn't hear the news? Mother Yashoda said, what news? You didn't know Krishna's going to Prabhas, Kshetra, to do some yajna? And then Narad Muni said, oh, I guess you weren't invited. And then Mother Yashoda, she was very sad. Our Gopal, he's doing a yajna, and he's not inviting us? And then Nanda Maharaj, he said, silly woman, we're Gwalas. We're cowherd people. We don't need an invitation, as they would say in America. He's our homeboy. He's our Gopal. We don't need an invitation to go to his yajna. We'll just go. And the word very quickly spread throughout all of Braj that Nanda Maharaj and Mother Yashoda were going to Prabhas to see Krishna. When they heard about that, all the cowherd boys said, we're also going to go. And Sunanda and Upananda, Nanda Maharaj's brothers, they all said, we're also going to go. All the elderly ladies, Prabhavati Gopi and others, they all said, we're also going to go. All the young gopis said, well, if you're going, who's going to protect us? We also have to go. All the cows started going. All the kukurs, the dogs, all the deer, all the animals in the forest, all the puppies, the birds, they decided, we also want to go. We want to see Krishna. The fish in the Jamuna, they decided, we'll swim to the ocean. We'll see Krishna there. Everyone in Vrindavan began to go to Prabhas to have darshan of Krishna. So then Narad Muni, he went around and he invited everybody. And then he went to Amaravati. And he said, hey Indra, you want to see Krishna's Gopal Lila? Yes, come with me. And so then he took him back to Dwarka. And when Padmavati and Devaki saw Narad Muni, they asked, did you invite everybody? And Narad Muni said, yes, I went over the list. I invited everybody on the list. And then Padmavati said, you didn't invite those Brijbasis, did you? And Narad Muni said, oh, I forgot you said like that. I'm so sorry. Please forgive me. And Padmavati was very annoyed. But she told Devaki, don't worry. We'll stop them from going in. And so when the residents of Vrindavan arrived there at Prabhas, at the gateway of that yajna, they found Padmavati and Devaki standing there like two Yamadutas, looking very, very angry, their arms closed. And they came there and Padmavati said, hey, Prabesh Nished, entrance forbidden. And Mother Yashoda, she's a very simple lady. She said, no, my Gopal, my little boy is there. We're going to see him. And Padmavati became angry. No, he's not your son. He's the son of Devaki. You can't say that to Mother Yashoda. Mother Yashoda, she said, no, he's my Gopal. He's my boy. No. And so some disagreement arose. And they agreed that let's ask Narad Muni. He can decide who's really the mother of Krishna. So now Narad Muni is in big trouble, right? Because if he says that Devaki is the mother of Krishna, it'll break the heart of Yashoda. And if he says that Yashoda is the mother of Krishna, it'll break the heart of Devaki. But Narad Muni is a very clever person. He said, well, it's very hard to say who's really the mother. Wise persons have stated that you can ascertain, you can tell who is the mother of a child by having that woman call for the child. And whoever the child goes to, then you can understand that's the mother. Padmavati said, very good. So Devaki, you go, you call. So Devaki began calling out, Krishna, Krishna, Krishna. But the Brahmins, the Saptarishis were chanting so many mantras. Om Sahasra Sirsa Purushaha Sahasraksha Sahasrapat Sabhumin Vishvato Vritya Achyatista Dasangulam Swaha Hidam Narayana Hidam Namama. Krishna's pouring ghee in the fire, and Krishna couldn't hear her. And Devaki's calling, Krishna, Krishna, but Krishna didn't hear her. And finally, Devaki turned to Yashoda. She said, okay, Devi, sister, you go. And then Yashoda, she began calling out, Kanu, Kanu. The Brahmins are chanting mantras. Krishna's offering ghee in the fire, but suddenly Krishna stopped. And he turned his head, and he asked some of the persons there, what's that sound? I heard someone calling out. And one of them said, there's some village people here, from some village, Vrindavan. And then Krishna, he said, Ma, Ma. And suddenly, that Aishvarjamoy Roop, Dwarkadish Krishna, he jumped up from the fire. He dropped the spoon, the wooden spoon in the fire. And he said, Ma, Ma. And suddenly, his form changed. And he became little naked 4-year-old Balagopal with dust all over his body. And he started crying and running as fast as he could with his little feet. Ma, Ma. And little Krishna came running to Yashoda, and she's going, Kanu, Kanu. And little Krishna leaped into the arms of Mother Yashoda. In a few hours at midnight, we're going to perform an Abhishek. And this is a tradition on Janmastami night. Some Vaishnavas, when they perform the Abhishek for Krishna's appearance, they take water from the Triveni, which is a combination of the Sarasvati, the Ganga, and the Jamuna, and they bathe Krishna with those three waters. In a similar way that we're going to bathe in tonight, Mother Yashoda began giving a bath to Krishna. But not in the same way that we do. The water was pouring from her eyes. She was crying. And those tears went through the black cudgel around her eyes, and the water became black, like the water of the Jamuna. And she began giving a bath to Krishna with her tears. At the same time, her maternal love for Krishna became so intense, the milk from her breast started pouring out milk, and that milk was white, like the water of the Ganga. And at the same time, she was bathing him with her personified love in her heart, which is like the water of the Sarasvati river, which you can't see. And you can't see the heart of Mother Yashoda. So at that time, Narad Muni, he turned to Indra. He said, so Indra, are you happy now? Now you can see Krishna's Bala Leela? Yes. So we tell this story. We meditate on Krishna as the son of Yashoda. Both things are correct. Krishna is also the son of Devaki. And Devaki and Vasudeva are extremely exalted personalities who have so much intense love for Krishna. But Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has told us, here in Jagannath Puri, he once said that I only know one name of Krishna, Yashoda Nandan Krishna. I know Krishna as the son of Yashoda. And this is our meditation. And this is a very special thing that Krishna, that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to give us. The secret of Krishna's appearance and how Krishna is actually the son of Yashoda. And Jiva Goswami has written about this in his Gopal Champu. Also Kavi Karnapur has written about it in Nanda Vrindavan Champu. Rupa Goswami has written about it in his Radha Krishna Vandesh Deepika. Baladev Vidyabhushan has written about it in some of his prayers. And Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur has described in his commentary. Many of our acharyas. Srila Prabhupada also, in one of his commentaries, I think it's the 6th chapter, if I'm not mistaken, of the 10th canto. Maybe it's the 2nd or 3rd. Anyway, he mentions that Krishna is actually the son of Yashoda. So I want to stop there and invite the devotees, especially Bhakti Rupa Prabhu or anybody else here, if anybody has any reflections, because Krishna Katha is not just something for entertainment. It's not just a lecture, but the Bhagavatam 11th canto says, Parasparana Kathanam Pavanam Bhagavadvasa. That it's meant to be paraspara, it means back and forth. There should be some reflection, there should be some thoughts about it. And so that's inspiring for me also. If anybody, if you, as Vaisheshika used to say sometimes, or he does say, maybe you want a prize. If somebody won a prize tonight, something that they like, they want to keep, please share that with us, or if you have any comments or questions. Does anybody have any reflections you want to share? Dr. Rupa, do you want to add anything? Chastisement? Pronunciation is okay? Rupa Prabhu? Anything you like? You're too shy, you never speak anymore. You know, even nobody has any reflections in? Okay, so we'll go ahead and start there. So what should we do?
Maybe you can do some bhajan, because Maharaj is going to speak 9:30. So we have like more, half an hour you can do some bhajan.
Okay. Govinda, Govinda, Gopal Gopalananda Krishna Govinda Govinda Gopalananda Krishna Govinda Govinda Gopalananda.